And welcome back to the Men's Journal Everyday Warrior podcast. I'm your host, Mike Sarraille. We've got Taye Diggs today. Damn, Taye, you are even sexier in person. What is going on?
I take that differently, coming from a macho male as yourself. I appreciate that. Good looking out.
My wife was excited about this one. She said, "Hey, can I come on?" I said, "No, we're professional here. We don't do that. He's a professional." Well, good, man. How's life? Everything's. I'm assuming you spend most of your time in New York.
I wish. I'm in LA. I have a gig, All American, CW and Netflix. They shoot in LA at Warner Brothers. So I'm in LA, but I get to New York as much as possible.
Man, how many seasons now for All American?
We're on our fifth. Yeah, we've been lucky enough to have gone 5 seasons. Yeah, it's still going on.
Your character is, it is like the macho, like sort of masculine character of like the tough dad, tough coach.
The coach, yeah, Coach Billy Baker. Yeah, played in the NFL and he's got his peaks and his valleys. He's a flawed person, but he's trying to do the best that he can for himself and his family and his team. So it's been great up to this point. It's been really great.
The flawed character, aren't we all, man? Do you enjoy playing a coach? Because I know the role, and I'm sure you had your share of coaches and mentors. I mean, we're a product of our coaches and mentors. Does that role, do you remember a specific mentor that gives you the inspiration for this character?
100%. I mean, I thought I was an athlete, early, in junior high. And then once everybody ended up being, 2 feet taller than me, then I switched to the performing arts. But that's one of the reasons why I was drawn so much to this character later in life. Because sports have been a part of just who I am, and basketball and tennis and soccer, and then having a son, I have a son now who's now 13, but he is a true athlete, and I got this job right when he was coming into his own with basketball and football. So it kind of, I feel like it was kind of a tap on the shoulder from the universe telling me that I was on the right track. So I was able to kind of use, my character work as a coach on All American, and let it kind of drip into the relationship that I've been having with my son as the athlete that I never could become.
So there's been a commonality for you and your son, a closer correlation.
100%. Yeah, when the show first came out, we would watch every episode together and discuss it from a sports perspective and just a human perspective, which was really great and useful because he was right at the age where he's starting to ask me questions about girls and himself and right and wrong and things of that nature, the issues that were being dealt with on the show. So it was perfect timing.
That is awesome. As you look at your career, man, and as I do, I've followed you for so long, but as we do research, the amount of films and TV shows and even Broadway performances you've been a part of, that have you ever gone back and just looked at the list? It's insane.
I have not. And I forget. I'm old enough now. I forget some of the stuff that I've been in. I'll have people, approach me in airports or whatnot, and I'm very grateful. But sometimes I'll forget some of the projects that they notice me from. So it's a trip to be at the point now where I still feel young and kind of active, but when you get feedback and you realize that you've been around a while, it's an interesting feeling. Yeah.
Well, dude, again, with the Rolodex of things you've been involved in, with the pace that you maintain, how do you maintain some semblance of balance? Or has it just been a constant battle?
You know what? I've been blessed in that it's either for me, the job, the career has never been number one. It's always been relationship. You know, I even when I remember in college, I had a college girlfriend, and you know, if I had a test, I would choose to go over my girlfriend's house and study for that test because I wanted to be with her. And I didn't understand how people that were in relationships would say, "Oh no, I can't spend time with my girl or my dude because I have." To me, you know, the personal relationships were much more important than the career. And you know, now I'm happy that I kind of chose to walk that path because it's kept me grounded. You know, when I was in a relationship, you know, before my child, the relationship was first. You know, it's if a job took me away from my relationship, then I would choose those jobs, you know, specifically, you know, taking that into account. And then when I had a child, curtains. I'm not going to do he comes first. And it really, you know, other people would say, you know, do you feel like you're missing out? But for me, it makes it easy. It just makes it easy. It's not even a question of balance. It's not balanced. It's my family first and then career. And I think because that is what is truthfully in my heart, I don't know, not to get too woo-woo, but I feel like the
No, no,
universe
no, no. Get woo, man. Get woo. That's what we do here.
the universe can sense that, and I've never stopped working ever. You know what I mean? So I'm cool. But I will never be that dude that's like, you know, I have a 13-year-old. He just made, you know, the 7th grade basketball team. I'm not about to take a job in Australia if it's gonna get me an Emmy or no. It's not even a question. I'm that dude. I don't fault the cats that do, but that's not even a question for me. And I'm not worried because I know something else will present itself because it has up to this point. So that's, I feel very lucky in that I kind of, you know, happed upon that just because, you know, relationships mean more to me than career.
Man, you just made me feel like less of a man in a lot of ways.
No, but that's just me. That's
No,
my,
no, no.
I know other people where, you know, career drives them, and if that's who you are inside, then I think the universe aligns itself. But
Yeah.
that's not who I was. You know what I mean? Like, you know, with my ex-wife, we used to get in arguments where I got offered this movie with Robert De Niro, and it was like to play this deep sea diver, and I was like, I don't want to be in the water. Like, she was like, but it's with De Niro. I was like, I
Yeah,
know, but
yeah,
I want to
yeah.
I want to have fun. De Niro or not, I don't want to like be in some dirty ass water, you know, 14 hours a day. No. And that was an argument, but that's who she was. She was about the work. I'm about having fun. You know, I chose to be an actor because it was easy and I'm having a good time. The girls are pretty. People clap for me. You know, it's simple. I'm a simple dude. So as long as I stay true to who I am, you know, shit works out for me. It's when, you know, and I can tell you the points in my career when I was like, oh, should I be trying to get on the cover of Vanity Fair? Should I be with this agency? Should I be trying to be the next Will Smith? Whenever I strayed from who I actually was, you can literally see in my career, and I can tell you emotionally, the dips. You know what I mean? And when I kind of released that, then my shit got back on track. So, you know, it's I feel like it's what you being able to connect with who you really are and your purpose. And once you do that, you know, things will line up accordingly.
That hey, what you just described is powerful, man.
It's just life,
Like
you know what I mean?
choose your path, follow your path. But I mean, it sounds like you've made some decisions where you're like, hey, I've strayed from my path, and
Yeah,
you reflect
totally.
upon it and you learn. So
Yeah,
by nature, you a highly reflective individual?
100%. Yeah, yeah. I'm a Capricorn, and I kind of suffer from anxiety, so I'm constantly rewinding things in my head as they're happening. So it's a blessing and a curse, but I think it's more of a blessing at this state.
That's
At this
Tay, I'm so
state.
happy for you, man, and especially with your son and prioritizing your son over your career. There's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
so many few people that do that these days. And when I say you make me feel like less of a man, you're making me reflect here and think. But would you also say that maybe you grinded in your early years that has given you more of the leeway to decide what you're going to do later on in life?
If I'm being honest,
Or is it you were just having fun and letting life be life?
yes, yes. Anytime I was like taking classes or the grind, I enjoyed the grind, and that was something that really got on the nerves of my fellow students in college, and then after college when I moved to New York. I don't know how or why, but I just knew that it was going to happen for me at a certain time. I knew that was happening. So I wasn't trying to take the next acting class. I wasn't going on any audition. I knew that it was going to happen. So I had a very relaxed attitude and did what I wanted to do. Like I love dancing, so I took a bunch of dance classes. I love playing sports, so I would go to the park and play soccer and tennis. And everybody else was like, why aren't you studying with this person? And, why aren't you, trying to get seen by this producer? And I
Yeah.
was like, it's going to happen for me. I'm just going to wait. And I don't know where that came from, but I remember literally, I moved to New York and they said, you need a survival job. So be a waiter or a host so I applied to Pizzeria Uno, and I was too anxious to become a waiter because I didn't think I could remember what everybody would order. So I was like, I'll just be a host because I thought to myself, I'm not going to be here long anyway. And there were two other hostesses, and we all got the jobs, and we were there, and one of them said, who are you? What do you do? And I said, an actor. And I remember her scoffing, and she said, isn't everybody? And I said, yeah. And I scoffed back at her, and I said, I guarantee you, in the next year. And when I think back, I don't know why I said this, who I thought I was, but I said, in the year, I promise you, I'm going to have my own TV show, be in a Broadway show, or on TV. And 6 months later, I was on Broadway.
No kidding.
And I remember her coming to the show and be like, do you remember? And I had forgotten that I had even said it. I had forgotten, when I was in the show, I'd forgotten that I had even said that to her. And I was like, oh my God, that's obnoxious. I'm sorry. But she was like, you said it. And I didn't even remember it. But she was like, you said that you would do this. You said you'd be on Broadway, and it was, yeah. So I try to stick to that. I don't know why it worked. Now, people are talking about manifesting and alignment, but whatever I was on at that point, and it was just pure kind of confidence and a knowing of what I enjoyed, and now, now that I have some years under my belt, I try to stick to that.
Yeah, are you trying to instill that same power of belief in your own son?
No, he has it already. Kids have it already. That's the thing, is that kids do what they want naturally. Then, excuse my language, they get fucked up by school or their parents. And no, you need to be a doctor, or you need to be a lawyer, or you need to date this person or that person. So I'm just trying to stay out of the way, and just whatever and let him know and make him trust how he feels. Like he's a writer, and he is a ridiculous athlete, basketball. So he's short, but I don't give a fuck. I'm like, are you going to be in the NBA? And he knows it. He knows he's going to be in the NBA. So we talk about the cars he's going to buy and the the charities he's gonna promote
That's
after
awesome.
he's in the NBA. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just want to do whatever I can to keep him on that track of being in alignment with what he feels he is supposed to do, on this earth.
Yeah. No, hey, that's a good point, man. When you think about it, when you ask kids what they want to do when they grow up, when they're 4, 5, 6, or 7, fireman, astronaut, and how societal norms then creep in and sort of crush people in their dreams. But
Yeah.
hey, Tay, one, I know you've got something special coming up. This will be this basically caps off the trilogy of the Best Man series.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's coming out in December, man. Tell us a little about what you got going on here.
I feel lucky, as an actor, and then to go a little bit deeper as an African American actor, where I'm included in a franchise that has lasted this long, 1, 2, and 3. The first 2 were films: Best Man 1, Best Man 2, Best Man Holiday, and now to we'll see if it's actually the end, but the possible closing of this project, this movement that I grew up on. I was in my 20s when I started. It was when I read that first script of The Best Man. It was something I'd never read before, because I was able to actually relate to the characters in this piece that weren't kind of stereotypes.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw myself in the character Harper. I saw, my best friend in the character Merch. You know what I mean? I had a crush on the girl that, the character that was Jordan, and I knew I had to be a part of it, and luckily I was able to. And now we've been blessed enough to continue that story, and now we're all parents and some divorcees and accomplished and experienced, and it just feels great to be able to still be a part of that that movement, while being able to use how we have grown as adults in this world and put it into these characters. So it was great to do, and now I'm excited to hear what people think after they see it. So it's
Well, it can be interesting for a lot of people that saw it and could sort of use the films as a timeline for their own life.
Yes.
There's single people, and now they got kids, and they're like, oh, holy, the characters evolved, I've evolved. That's gonna be interesting, man.
Yeah, man. At first, it kind of made me feel away, because when someone said, when you hear, you get it. We're at the gym. We're trying to do whatever we can, to stay fit. I feel like, I can still compete with some of these young people. But when the first time I heard someone say, "I grew up on you,"
Yeah.
that's a major statement. But it wasn't until I took a minute, and got out of myself and been like, wait, it's not about how you feel. It's about how this person feels.
Yeah.
Then I was like, oh, that's humbling. Thank you for telling me that. That's a great thing. Like, what the stuff that I've done has meant enough for you to come to me and say, I have watched you as I have grown up. That's an amazing blessing. So that's
Yeah.
one of the benefits of age. I was wise enough to take a step back and be like, oh, this isn't about you and how old you feel. This is about what you have left and the influence that you have had on these younger people, which is so amazing. That's not why I got into this. You know what I mean? But if that's one of the side effects, I'm all right with that.
It's with the reach that you have through cinema and Broadway, that's a lot of impact on lives, man. Even if they come in, you give them a little bit of hope during that
Just
2
a little
hours
bit.
in cinema. That's huge, man. Well, Tay, we finish with all our guests, the warriors, which you're a warrior within your respective profession, and maybe you can impart some wisdom on us. 3 questions. Number 1, what's the hardest decision you've ever had to make?
No
It's a-
decisions for me.
I love it.
I
Keep going.
think really the most major decisions should be easy to make. I think that's part of it. If it's hard, to make, then I stay in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if I'm making a major decision, there's no back and forth. I know what to do.
I love that. I love that. Hey, what are those 1 to 3 tenets, those rules for Taye Diggs that you follow in life that have led to the majority of your success? You talked about grinding earlier. You talked about letting life go. What are those things that you hold dear? What are those 3 things that you look at your son and say, hey, man, if you statistically or consistently do these 3 things, you're going to live a life of purpose and fulfillment?
To listen to yourself, but at the same time, be open to what others have to say. And the third, have fun. Yeah.
Oh, man. Isn't it amazing how few people focus on that third one?
I mean, we can learn from these kids, man. I mean, it's so cliche, but he is teaching me way more than I'm teaching him every day. You know what I mean? And there are times when I feel like he tells me something and I want to be the parent and say, no, you should. But what he says is making, well, I don't want to do this. And I'm like, oh, okay, well then don't. If you don't want to, then don't. As opposed to, no, you should because da-da-da-da. He's like, I don't want to. Well, then you don't. Well, then don't do it. And every time I follow him, it works out. Whenever I do what I think he should do because that's what I was taught or that's what the other, it never works out well. And then it causes a rift between us. You know, but whenever I kind of honor what he wants, it always works out. So I feel blessed. I feel very lucky.
I think each generation gets smarter than the next. I'm always shocked by what kids know.
Yeah, some of them. I know mine is.
Good. Hey, last question, man, before we cut out. When all is said and done, let's say 50, 40 years from now, as you look back, what is it that you want your legacy to be? The world looks at you and says, he did this for us. What's that legacy, man?
I don't care, I guess. I don't need that. I feel like I already feel full inside, you know what I mean? From this point on, because I'll be honest, you know, before, like after, like in my 40s, I was very much concerned with that. Yeah. Because, you know, my baby mama has a Tony Award and she was in Rent and then got a Tony in Rent. And then she was in, you know, Idina Menzel, an amazing performer, an amazing mother, was in, you know, then did the Frozen, and the song, her song was huge, and then there was Frozen 2, and she was a best pay. And then I was like, oh, I need to catch up. Like, I want to go down in history. I want to go down then I started comparing, which is something I think you should never do.
Joy. Comparison is joy.
Yeah. And then, and I was on that for a minute, and then I let go of it. And once I let go of it, then it came to me. Then people started saying, oh, you're in the classics. Oh, I grew up on you. Oh, I became an actor. And then I was like, oh, okay. I didn't have to try. It's happening naturally. And I'm cool. I'm cool with that.
Living in the here, living in the now.
Yeah. You know, I want the best to happen from my son, but that's just selfish. I don't care what anybody else thinks. I just want him to get what he wants because he's my offspring, and
that's your boy, man.
I love him. That's exactly.
Yeah. Well, dude, I can't thank you enough for your time. We know you're extremely busy. One last time, where can people catch The Best Man Final Chapters? When is that coming out?
Peacock, the 22nd, December 22nd on Peacock. Yes, and that is when it premieres. Binge it, watch it, tell your people. Yeah, and we'll see if we can give you more after that.
Perfect. Taye, I do appreciate it. We'll drop all the links for that. We'll direct people that way. Again, congrats on all the success.
Thank you, my man.
On finding happiness, man. You seem like you are content. So
I appreciate it. I'm trying. You make me feel more masculine just talking to you. So thank you.
Did you hear that? Okay, yeah, she heard it. You just got me. I'm gonna have a good night. No, hey, thanks, brother, and I appreciate it. And for all the listeners, thanks for joining another episode of the Men's Journal Everyday Warrior podcast. Again, with Taye Diggs. We'll catch you later, guys.